I know that we're all kind of like double booked and overscheduled, so no worries there. In the chat, I was just curious if any of us are doing the pilot currently and want to share any of their thoughts on the curriculum so far, a win, a challenge, something surprising, anything like that, just to share with the larger group, because not all of our lit leaders are piloting. And then for those that aren't piloting the new curriculum, maybe something that you've done in the classroom that's worked really well. Later on today, we're going to talk a little bit about a deep dive I did with the winter screening results, and I'm sharing that information with you. It probably already hit your email because I think I sent it to go out at 8:15. So anything that's worked well for you so far with literacy instruction or specifically geared towards helping with the data that we're seeing coming out of the STAR test, either one. Just wanting to have some stuff in the chat to share with each other. And then I'm going to go ahead and get started because I have a lot to get through, but not very much. So we'll see how it goes. We are going to be talking also about chapter 2 of the book study. So hopefully you got there. And the link to, I'll put it in the chat, link to today's slide deck, if you want it, is there on the screen too. I don't have it typed up yet, so there we go. Hopefully that works for everybody. Okay, so I know that you guys all got the email last week, but I wanted to make sure that I went over it again just so that you guys are clear on all of it, and maybe encourage you to talk a little bit to the people in your department and make sure that they know about it if they haven't read the email or watched the video. And I can actually give you the link to the video too, because maybe the video is just easier to swallow than reading the whole email. But basically everything that's in the video is kind of what I'm going to go over with you this morning. So the selection materials update, pilots, PD for the spring, all of that good stuff. I just want to make sure you guys are super clear on everything that's happening so that you can answer questions since you're kind of boots on the ground kind of for me. And then, like I said, chapter 2 and winter screening. And then I also kind of have a call to action about classroom libraries. Which again, I'll go to it in a minute. I did provide in the slides the link to the BSD website where all of the information on the material selection is, and it's being regularly updated now. It wasn't at the very beginning, but I would say now it's much more updated. If you aren't a part of the pilot, I really, really would like all of my lit leaders to go to the website and just peruse our options. And there is a survey for people that are not a part of the pilot to give their feedback. We really want to know what you guys think. I think middle school is sitting in a better position than high school. I'm not sure high school is super pleased with our choices, but I think we're a little bit more pleased. But again, need to know your thoughts about all of it. So also encourage anyone in your department that's not a part of the pilot to go look at the curriculum, because I mean, it affects all of us, right? So if they haven't looked at it at all, please encourage them to go and take a look. So in terms of where we're at right now, linked in the slides, I've also got an FAQ, which I've set up a notification. So anytime someone types in there, I get an email. So I know to go and look and see if there's questions. So you can also share that out with your department as well. So where are we at in this whole process? So as we hit February, we have provided access to all of the curriculum to the community. We've gone to 3 different schools. Out of the 3 schools, only 1 parent came to look at the stuff. And then right now at the district office, one of the interview rooms downstairs has all of the curriculum as well. So anyone can come and stop by and actually look through the physical copies of things if they want to. So you can encourage any department members for that as well. We are going to be presenting to the school board in March. So things are really, really ramping up here. We will be we're doing pilot number 1 with publisher number 1, which is StudySync or McGraw-Hill currently. And that will be going into next week. And then we'll have training next week for publisher number 2, which will start the week after. So both pilots are taking place right now. And we are getting feedback. Like I said, we're hoping for feedback from the community, but I think, again, only one parent came and they didn't fill out the survey. Rebecca has been going into AVID classes that she's been kind of meeting with over the last couple of years as we've been through this process to get student review and feedback. So we will be getting student comments on the materials, which you can take with a grain of salt. And then non-piloting teachers would be really great to get some of their feedback as well. I see that Megan is asking about the pilot materials, and I will just say I am probably going to ask for Savas, who's coming in publisher number 2, to do less of the online stuff, because they really focused in on where to access everything online, which is great because you can pick and choose what you want to do, create your units, plan everything out, and decide how much of the online curriculum you want to do. But everything, I guess they wanted to make sure that people knew that everything that was in the printed material, the physical copies, was available online. So again, while it's like, I guess 100% to answer Megan's question, it's totally up to you how much you're doing online versus using the physical book. They do have like a consumable product for students, but I don't necessarily see us buying that for each student. We might buy the consumable, like one student copy for each teacher, so that it's easy for you to, tear out the pages and make photocopies. But again, any of the student consumables are also available online. So again, your choice to print from online is what I'm saying. Whether you assign it online or you print it from online, to have those choices. So anyways, don't know if that answers Megan's question. I think it does, but regardless. Okay, I need to keep moving. So the plan for the rest of the year is that we will select which curriculum, hopefully, that we're going with, and then we are going to make sure that we get the teacher materials prepared, ready, and available for the June 11th training. So you will have your teacher materials before heading off into the summertime. So if you wanted to take a look at everything and start planning and stuff, you can. Not saying you have to, but you can. So hopefully we have all of that ready to go, wrapped up by June. We will have professional development, which this is the next part that we're going to go into, all spring, 1 day a month, starting in March, April, May, and then those will all be full days where we will come together as an entire middle school cohort. And then we will go. Study Sync is not HMH, Thomas. Sorry, seeing your chat. Study Sync is McGraw-Hill. Oh, thank you, Perry. Thank you. So we did not select HMH, which that is what the elementary selected. We chose either Savas, which the book is called My Perspectives, or McGraw-Hill, which is Study Sync. I don't know why we have to have 2 different names, but there you go. So those are the 2 that we have chose. Okay, and then what else was I going to say? So we're going to touch on classroom libraries a little bit later. Classroom libraries has been a huge topic and priority for the selection committee. And I just want people to know we haven't forgotten about it. We've asked the publishers if things come with, if they come with the classroom library. While they do have novel selections, I think Study Sync might have more options and choices in terms of like whole class novel studies than Savas does. Again, we'll see as we kind of get more information from the publishers. But I think I asked my boss recently how we approach the classroom library. So Rebecca and I will be working with Jen Blair to put up a proposal. Jen Blair will be helping us create book lists like we've done in the past for people to vote on what you need copies of. And it will just be put into the proposal to the board. So it's not necessarily a part of like the material selection adoption of either StudySync or My Perspectives. It will be addition to, and it will be a part of. And I feel pretty good about that. I don't think classroom libraries are going away, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that being said, we need to talk about weeding our classroom libraries a little bit. So anywho, moving forward, spring PD in March. So this is going to focus predominantly on literacy. So we're trying to focus, March is literacy, April is writing, and then May is like speaking, listening, and like diverse learners. That's kind of how we're going about it. We do have a PD work group that's helping to organize everything that happens like in the afternoon. In the morning, we're going to have speakers, and in the afternoon, it will be predominantly like collaborative time or us kind of approaching a few other things. So the PD work group is going to be coming together to work on the logistics of the afternoon portion. Friday, actually, we have our first meeting, a full day meeting on Friday to start planning for March. So literacy across the secondary levels, we have the National Teachers Project coming in to provide training in the morning, all sorts of strategies surrounding the science of reading and foundational reading skills that we are all saying we need. And then we also are going to kind of take a deep dive into the Oregon Adolescent Literacy Framework. It's really going to be an important piece as we move forward. They did an early literacy framework last year, and then we've been waiting on pins and needles for this one to come out. And we've been told it's supposed to come out at the end of this month. So it should be ready for us by the time we hit March. And then possibly working in there a little bit more on tier 1, tier 2, and MTSS stuff. So all of that should hopefully be a lot of really good, helpful information, all geared towards reading. And it's agnostic, it's pedagogical, right? Like it doesn't matter if we pick StudySync or if we pick Savvas. Like this is stuff that we just need to know holistically as a middle school department, as secondary, really, as we move forward. So that's helpful. And I think great that we can come together as a big group. I know I heard from a lot of you that this is something that we really wanted. So hopefully, let me know. I see that Deb says PD sounds great. I want to hear from you guys if there's anything you're kind of hearing as the emails went out, if people are unhappy about it. We've been really concerned about the messaging here, wanting people to be kind of jazzed about having these like larger holistic PD sessions. I think Rebecca has been a little bit worried about, how it's going to be perceived and if people are excited about it. So let me know what you're hearing from your departments. That would be really helpful. So April, again, writing, focused on writing. Penny Kittle is going to be coming back and helping us here. A lot of people said when she came before, it was a really impactful PD. So we're hoping it will also be impactful. So again, really focusing in on writing on this one. So again, reading, writing, and then speaking and listening for May. And then again, you have access to these slides. So if anyone in your department's like, so wait, what are we doing? Hopefully your question, you can help with those questions. And if you have more questions or someone asks you something and you don't know how to answer it, please email me and I will try and help you. So again, May will be our last full day together. And this will be, we're seeing how this is going to go. We really wanted a specific speaker, a woman by the Dr. Walke. And she is a very specific in like, okay, you're in a secondary classroom and you want to teach Macbeth to English language learners. Here's how you do it. And so we really wanted her. We're seeing if we can still make that happen. But yeah, diverse student populations, how do we set them up for success? We also were really hoping, honestly, in the afternoon to touch on our like neurodivergent students, our SPED students. So it might be something where we diversify the afternoon, and the people that are co-teaching, they might go and get additional training on co-teaching, and then those that aren't co-teaching will maybe go to the neurodivergent pieces. So May is still kind of evolving. MLD is really taking over kind of what's happening in May. So we'll see. Now, June is on the 11th, which is a like staff development teacher work day. So we can only say that we're working or having you in the morning, which is like your admin directed time. So we can't do a full day. but we will have the publisher remain into the afternoon. So if you'd like to stay and ask questions or potentially plan the first unit and have the publisher there to ask questions, you can. We will have the space available all day. We just can't say it's mandatory that you stay, right? Like you get to choose your afternoon. So just making sure that that's really clear, but we will be providing you space and time if you'd like to continue to look through the materials and ask questions. I am going to be printing out these like spring PD save the dates and sending them to you guys. If possible, can you either put them up in your room or in the staff lunchroom and just kind of be annoying with the rest of your department and making sure that they know that these dates are coming, that they're getting their subs ready, and that they've signed up on KickUp and everything. Just again, wanting to make sure this is something we haven't had in several years, so I want to make sure that we've got everybody signed up and knows what's happening. In the fall, the plan is to have some grade level PLCs, because I think anyone that's in the pilot right now, especially because the pilot is a limited window, there was a lot to pick and choose from when looking at the unit that was presented. And I don't think that goes away even when we have like the full year to look at. So I would like for us to come together and give some like guidelines, like for unit 1, here's the way we would maybe, pick and choose some of these things. So I think that would be a great use of our time moving into the fall. We will obviously have the publishers come in and continue to work with us in the fall as well. And then, if people need subcodes, it was in the video, but it wasn't in the email, and then it's on the KickUp. So like kind of have to register in order to get there. But if anyone's asking you, oh, I need to get my sub, what's the subcode? There it is. It's the same subcode for all 3 days for the PD. You don't need a sub for June 11th because we don't have kids that day. So if you need to write that down, write that down. But again, I'll send that save the date out to you. Poster, please hang that up. And then assuming we don't have a snow day tomorrow, we have a group of teachers coming together to finalize the draft of our targets, our new targets. So we went from 10 to 6, I think. And so finalizing those and then writing some corresponding rubrics. So those will also be ready to go as we move into the spring PD so that everyone can take a look at them, get familiar with them, etc. Okay, so again, teacher feedback on non-pilot teachers. So have them go to the website. They can come here to the district office if they want to physically like look at the options. It's in the downstairs interview room 1. We really do want teacher feedback that people aren't piloting so they can tell us what they think. So just remind your department of that. And then as we go into chapter 2 of the book study, I hope that you're seeing, like, for the first chapter and the introduction was really kind of like setting us up for the idea of what it looks like to have an inclusive classroom. And then we're starting to get into, I think, a few more strategies and like, what does it look like as we continue through the rest of the chapters. So I guess in the chat, I'll just have you pick one topic and answer to it if you want to. So just out of curiosity, I know that we've had units in the past that we did, like when we were still in remote classrooms on identity. There was a whole like unit on identity work. So just wondering how you're approaching that, if you're still approaching that, if that's something that kind of ties in with the personal narrative unit, or how you're helping students kind of identify who they are and how they fit into the classroom. Maybe one thing that you do, so pick and choose which one you want. One thing you do in the classroom to make it feel like a true community. And then the last one is, how are you bringing like the students' real lives into their learning? Hopefully we're looking at like choice and things. I think that's the other thing I'm super interested in with the pilot. It feels like, and again, I'd love to hear some of the people that are piloting, the engagement factor for Study Sync with their like trailers for each story, their trailers for each unit, the videos that they have of the kids, which are kind of corny, but the videos of the kids talking and having like academic discussions and discourse about the books, I feel like those are good, potentially engaging. Whereas when we look at Savvis, it has, slide decks pre-built. It does have some Spanish translations, not of all of the chapters, but of 3 of the 5 chapters. They have it in Spanish for our dual language program. So there's definitely some give and take in the different pieces, but I think they give us some choice to pick and choose in terms of like what selections we're reading with the kids so that it fits with your population of students, or it might be more engaging for your population of students. But yeah, I'll stop talking a little bit. Just in the chat, what are your thoughts on one of these questions? And I'm going to go back through and see some of the other things that maybe people gave us at the beginning that I didn't get to read. So Carolyn was mentioning that the information was hard with StudySync completing one of the readings. So yeah, I think this is an interesting topic for us to bring up as we get into like our PD, especially that first day, when we're really geared towards literacy, because we still do need to provide like grade level text. So it's like, what do we do to get the kids to feel successful when we're doing some of those close reading activities? Oh, good. I love that Megan said she's using those CER frameworks. That's excellent. I think the more we use that, the better, honestly. Okay, consumables aren't useful, Perry. Okay. Okay. So Perry, okay. So you like using the online program or you don't like using the online program for StudySync? Feel free to unmute yourself if you want to.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to use the consumables as much as possible.
Yeah.
I had some students be like, I love that we have this because it's like everything's on the computer. So what I'm
Yeah.
trying, because the like I feel like primarily the thing that's useful with the consumables is that they don't have to at least read the texts online, and so we can
Yeah.
annotate them, and there's little note
Yeah.
margins and things. So then when it's time to have them answer quiz questions or the think questions that they have in there, um, I just think there's not like I know when I've looked at the Savas workbook, there's like, text box with lines that they write in and graphical
Uh-huh.
and stuff, and that all to me seems like more of like StudySync is pushing us towards doing that, the engagement stuff online. And so
Uh-huh.
I'm embracing that, but I also feel like it is
Yeah.
sort of a weak point.
Do you feel like the kids are saying that they like having the consumables because it's like a workbook thing? Because that's
Yeah,
what I'm
they
wondering, is it like the workbook versus like if we're printing out things to put in like their journals or something, if they would feel
I
differently?
if I mean I think preferably in the people that I've talked to, we really love like the complete look
Yeah.
branded thing.
Yeah.
And I it appears that the students are not that there's I mean they're going to be like, oh, this is going to be boring, but it feels like a legitimate tangible thing to them that there
Yeah.
is more important or has more stakes to it. And I do appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. Carolyn, did you want to add anything to that? I felt like you were maybe wanting
Um,
to.
yeah, I mean, what I did, like, there's so many digital tools you can use. Like yesterday, we did a first read, and I had them all use the audio tool, but follow, like,
Uh-huh.
use their text, the
Yeah.
consumable,
Mm-hmm.
while they were reading. So their Chromebook was just off to the side, and then they annotated directly into the consumable
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
I wanted them using that text and just, being
Yeah.
able to, because that was part of the first read is the annotation. But, anyway, so that was how I got around it. But like, it's hard to find like you had said in the training, they showed all the digital pieces. So
Yeah.
understanding what that looks like versus like the skills focus are in the consumable,
Yeah.
but the end of text multiple choice quizzes are not. Like the think questions are, but like there's really
Mm-hmm.
no room for them to write.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we tried yesterday after the first read. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
anyway, like you had touched on, my kids were just like, this is so hard. And it
Yeah.
was taking them forever to do it. So,
Yeah.
and I don't know if
Interesting.
it was the quiz or if we hopped it, we didn't start with the first one. I let them choose which one they wanted to read, so I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
which part it was. I'd have to compare it to another text to see if they
Yeah.
also find that one hard.
Yeah.
Or it's just argumentative is hard for them.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
anyway.
Awesome. Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing. And thank you, everybody, that kind of, this is exactly what I want to hear. I felt like as I read this chapter, I felt like, yeah, we've been doing some of this for a while. This is good. We give students choice. We've been talking about identities. So, loving these answers that I'm seeing in the chat. Thank you for everyone that's kind of responded. So, next time we'll go over chapter 3, which is kind of interdisciplinary. So hopefully we can get out some stuff from there to take to our WIN teams, to our teams, and having conversations from there. Okay, so I know I'm looking at my time, and I want to be cognizant that I still have 2 more topics I wanted to talk about. So really, really quickly, classroom libraries. So I want us to think in terms of spring cleaning. What do we need to do? So if you can have some of your kids help you with this, great. If you have TAs, if you have parent volunteers, who knows? But we need to start talking about it like as a department, like what do we need to do? I know it's hard sometimes to think about our classroom libraries in terms of a consumable, but they really are. So if the books are torn, waterlogged, awful, toss them, okay? If they are not in best shape, but still readable, then I would love for us to go through and think about ways to potentially give books away for free. So is there some sort of thing that happens at your building, spring conferences, some sort of open house, something at the end of the year where we could potentially pool all of our classroom library books and have them in the hallway or something? Yeah, gross. Cologne, toss that. If there's a way for us to have just a big table, free books, take as many, or if you guys have other options or ideas, I'd love for us to share in the chat how we might go about this. I have a ton of books in the portable currently that are from the last adoption that I've got to figure out what to do with as well. Because if we are about to order like full new replenishing amounts of books, I want us to have room, right? You know what I mean? So some ideas, besides the free book event, maybe we could put together some book bundles and give those to specific kids and say, like, I know you really love reading mysteries. Here's a stack of mysteries just for you to read over the summer. Enjoy them, or something like that. Any other ideas that we have for repurposing books, I'd love to hear them. I'm trying to minimize the amount that comes back to me in my tiny little portable, so that we get these books out, not necessarily throwing them away, but get them out and give them to the students so that we have space for brand new books coming in. Yeah, definitely. Again, yeah, librarians call this weeding, going through and if there's a book that's way too old that the kids aren't using, that they do not find engaging, take them out. Those might be ones that we put out for free, and then in the end, the books that don't get taken from like a free table or something, those are eventually, I think, what will end up coming back to me, and I'll have to go through and like sort them and stuff. So I would like for us to have those kinds of conversations within our department the next couple of months, and know that we'll have more information coming on basically what we're going to propose to the school board in terms of refreshing the classroom libraries. And then obviously, I'm hoping, like we did last time, you'll have lists to choose from on what you'd like to see coming into. That is a good question, Deb. I do not know what percentage we should weed out. Let me talk to both Jen Blair and Rebecca, and maybe even my boss, because I don't know. I actually don't know. And I don't want to say like 50% and then, it's like your classroom library is completely gone. So let me get back to you on that. That is a really good question. Okay. Now, winter screener trends. I thought this was kind of interesting. I dove into all of your courses and pulled information and tried to go through and look for trends. So in your email, you should have a document. Maybe I think it's a PDF. It's basically from my big, gigantic spreadsheet that I made. But basically it goes over the domains from the STAR screener, the winter screener, and skill sets. And what's interesting to me is some of the grade levels, I went by grade levels. So even if you teach a couple of classes in 6 and a couple of classes in 7, you should see that they're delineated. But what I found super, super interesting is, yeah, Thomas, I don't know. Let me check on how many books we are receiving. I want to say it would be like what we got the last time, like a whole new classroom library. But I don't actually know the answer to that. So I will have to get back to you on that. Okay. So anyways, winter screener. What I found super, super interesting was the same main domains came up across the board of skills that we need to work on, but what varied was maybe the way that they were addressed. So it is possible that you see that, for example, in informative text and literature, key ideas and details, both of those were basically for everybody. Everybody had that one. It might be that you're working on grade 6 skills, or if you have like more advanced class, you might be working on key ideas and details at grade 10 or something. So kind of pay attention to how it goes from the domains to the skills, because it actually tells you what grade level. And then what I thought was kind of interesting, and I asked because we had a data review with the Renaissance Star people 2 days ago. I said, so I find this super interesting because I saw key ideas and details, craft and structure, occasionally integration of knowledge came up as a domain, and then and occasionally vocabulary came up for people. So I was like, that's weird because that wasn't what was happening in the fall. Do you guys test for specific things in the fall versus in the winter? So is that why it's coming up or being shown? And the answer that they kind of had was like, there is a progression of skills that's happening, or it could be that we took a look at what was lacking in the fall and we beefed that up with stuff we did in our classrooms and with WIN, and the kids bypassed that as we took the test again, and now new skills are coming up. So both could be true, I guess. I went ahead and also gave you some ideas of how to maybe approach some of the skills in your classroom during WIN time, and then also by grade, what you could look at as like a grade level team. And I guess any feedback you have as you're looking at your information, I would love to hear. I think I will send the information as a whole to like academic coaches so that they have that information. But then I was also thinking about sending something similar to this to each teacher individually so that they would have their own information. But I'm curious from these trends are based on your whole class load by grade. So if you have 2 sections of 6th grade, your 6th grade stuff is based on that stuff. And then if you have 3 sections of 7th grade, it's based on those 3 sections of 7th grade. So I was going by grade. Yeah, so yes, that's true. SUMA kids could throw some things off. So if you want me to go back and give you period by period, Thomas, I could do that. But I guess I'm curious from your perspective, is something like this kind of helpful, or is it overwhelming? These are predominantly just tier 1 core level instruction pieces. Mm-hmm. So, something to think about is tier 2 is specific interventions for like this group of kids needs this thing, whereas this is like as a whole, these are what the students need to work on. So that is core instruction, and core instruction can include small group work. It's just like I might be working with these 5 kids on this, and then tomorrow I'm going to work with these 5 kids on the same thing. So small group work still works in core instruction. It doesn't necessarily mean core is whole class. So something to think about. But yeah, I would love for you to tell me if something like this is even helpful or not as we look at the trends.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to say something that would be helpful if it's not like confidential would be looking at like teachers in the building to see if there are trends across, because it kind of it would help to drive what we talk about at staff meetings.
Yeah.
Like we really targeted informational text in Cedar Park based on what we saw in the fall. And like, I don't want to get in anyone's private things, but it doesn't seem private. It's just like more trends. So then I could, maybe do a little analysis of like, oh, this is coming up across team. Let's shift our focus here. So just a thought. And then I was going to ask, oh, go ahead.
Well, I know that the math team started doing some analysis that way where they were trying to say, oh, this particular class did a really, really good job on this area. Like, what were the strategies happening there?
Yeah.
And I think that would be really helpful too for us to do. So, I wanting to meet with the math team and say, okay, how did you do that? Because I think if you know Nick Hirschman, I think he pulled information into a crazy spreadsheet and did something wackadoodle that is beyond my non-math brain. So I know I'm going to need his help for that. But yes, I think that's a really good idea for us to see overall trends. And, that's something maybe as a lit leader team, similar to academic coaches, like I feel like looking holistically, and the spreadsheet you're seeing on the screen right now has everybody's information. So Deb, I could give that to you guys for you to see. If you guys feel like your department would be okay with that being seen, and just again thinking in terms of like what we are as a lit leader is like, how am I changing my own practice? And then maybe that kind of bleeds out into the rest of the department and they see what we're doing.
Yes. And then one quick question, just, is there a metric that the district uses or that we can be aware of that, like, bird's eye view, are students making the growth we are hoping? Are they beginning to make the growth we're hoping from fall to winter? Like, is there a metric that STAR or Renaissance uses on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the winter screener, we get what's called the scale growth percentage, SGP. Yeah, and so then that tells us, we can get a lot of information to say, oh, these students or this class is like high achieving, low something, I don't know. So the SGP is, I think, one way to focus a little bit. I think that the big positive that we can take away from the winter screening is that the percentage of students tested went up. We're trying to get to 95% students tested, and almost all of us went up. Every building, almost all of us went up. So that is good. I know that they were happy with that. So I think we need to give ourselves a little grace with how this is going and know that it's new and we shouldn't beat ourselves up about anything. I think overall we're seeing good positive trends. So I do have a slide deck from the 2 days ago data review that is a more holistic look that I could take a look at and pull some information for our next meeting. If that would be helpful for you guys, we could definitely do that. And then I know we're over time, so I wanted to just make sure, please fill out the pay form and send it back to me. I want to say last month, I only got 3 from people. So if you didn't fill it out for last month, please fill out last month and this month together and send it in to me so that I can turn all of those in. And it is 2.5 hours for both last month and this month. So if you haven't filled out last month, please add in, I guess it would be a total of 5 hours. And I'm going to stop us there. Please let me know if you have any other questions or thoughts. I'm going to be sending you that save the date for all the spring PD. You have access to these slides. So you can go back to them at any time. Don't forget to maybe have your department that aren't piloting, maybe go and look at the resources so they can give some feedback. I want everybody to feel like they have a voice in this process. And I'll sign off from there. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning and coming.
Thank you.
Thanks.